Okay, I want to take a look at or go over eased edge. So if you take a closer look at this, it's a little bit rounded. It softens the edge, smoother, but yet it still has a square look, but the a little bit of that corner is taken off. So when I do that, I'm doing it by hand. And this is the same type of thing. It could be a stone countertop. The difference is you're usually holding up, if it was a really heavy stone countertop, then we'd have a grinder and we'd be doing the eased edge with that because you can't hold up the stone countertop. But in the case of small woodworking, for smaller pieces, the tool can be stable and the material I'm working with can be what I'm moving around. So it really depends on weight. If it's really heavy, then you need a tool that's portable and you're going to do it with the tool moving in that, or if it's light, if your material's lighter, then you can use a stable tool and do the eased edge with that. So the biggest thing to look out for is you would like it to be even distribution across the edge, even across the sides. You don't want one side dipping in more than the other side. Even in the ends, you want them even. So you want everything even. So that's the tricky part of it. So if you just go like this, let's say my board is this long. That means I have to go back and forth. So when I'm going back and forth, there's certain parts of the board that are always touching. This part of the board is always touching. So that part of the board might get worn down quicker. So you have to be aware of that. You have to kind of, and you're not putting a lot of pressure. You're not pushing down on it. You're just gently flowing over it and kind of having you're holding it so the board doesn't take off on you, because if you don't hold it, it's just going to go flying. So you have a gentle floating it across there. You're sanding it. You're rolling it back and forth because you want to get that roundedness, but the main part is to take that corner off and then round it. And then you're going like this. And you're also moving it around. So if I just stay in one spot, I'm wearing down my sandpaper in that spot. And I don't want to do that. I want this even distribution of use because I want to make this last. And usually you run into the edges, like that edge has not sanded as much wood. So like I might go right over to that edge and sand some to try to even it up and come back to this edge. You also want to, you can't just hold the board in one place either. Like when you're doing this edge right here, you don't want to just hold it right there because the board is heating up. When it's getting sanded, it's heating up. And certain materials like cherry, closed grain, is going to heat up faster and it's going to make a black mark there. And then you're going to have to sand the black mark off. So you're always moving it up and down and over and back and then flipping it and doing that side and then rolling it and then rolling it this way. And if you do a turn like this, then you should do the turn the opposite way to finish it up, because you're not going to get that even distribution unless you treat everything nice and equal. And you're always moving it around, and maybe you sand some on this edge and then you do some on this edge and let this edge cool, because you don't want that heat build up either. That's going to hurt well, it's just going to leave black marks and it's going to not be good for the sandpaper either. The sandpaper has to cool down too, and what it has is it has holes in here underneath. So there's holes in there so it doesn't heat up as much. Plus it's on a metal surface which kind of distributes the heat quickly. So you don't want to just drop the board on it either, because if you drop the board on that sandpaper and you hit one of those holes, you're going to put a hole in this sandpaper. So it's gentle. You're gentle rolling it. And then examine it, take a quick look, have good lighting, and see if you're getting it even. When I first started doing this, I had a harder time getting it even. So I've learned to, like, I might put a little bit more pressure on my left hand. And then when I come down here, I might put a little bit more pressure on my right hand to kind of get both sides even. So eased edge, it's a technique. The more you do it, the better you'll get. The other thing you can do is take sandpaper, and you can ease the edge with sandpaper. Now it's not going to be as dramatic, but it does soften that edge. So it's soft to the touch. It's just not as rounded. So there's different levels of roundedness. Okay, so eased edge, it's whether you're woodworking, you're using stone, or other materials, eased edge is a nice, simpler edge to go with sometimes. And I use it. It's my go-to edge.